This is Mary, the medicine woman, and today I am very excited because I have a guest, someone to talk with me, and we're going to have some fun with Melissa Thompson. Melissa is a pharmacist and personal growth coach. She works with clients in a really neat way. It's basically infusing creativity into everyday solutions. I love how she makes creativity accessible. So, welcome, Melissa, to our little Zoom chat. And first, why don't we start with you defining your, I think, really interesting definition of creativity?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. And I am excited to get to chat with you today and talk about creativity because it's something that I do feel is a part of our everyday solutions and a way that we can move forward and enjoy what's happening around us. And it helps me slow down and be more in touch with the day-to-day happenings. And so part of my lens for creativity is looking at our potential. So
I love that.
I believe that creativity is an innate part of who we are, and that from that we can look at new ways of going to work. I think that's one of the things we talked about before is just my drive to work can be creative and I can pick new paths and forge new directions.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I approach parenting can be creative. And I have been spending a lot of time during the pandemic thinking about
Mm-hmm.
creative ways of connecting with my kiddo, and then cooking and day-to-day activities and chores. The way that I attend to those can be creative. And so what I do is I look at what the issue is. What is it that might be feeling intimidating or overwhelming? And I think about, okay, well, let's think of some other way of being able to flip that around, like pivot or flip it around and make it fun. And so that's where creativity comes in. And I've been having a blast creating new ways of attending to day-to-day things in life.
Well, that's probably a good, we did this before, and you had used this little tool, which we can show people after I say what happened. So you had just put up this little tool and you had asked me what I was struggling with or what I needed, what I wanted to create. And what I said wasn't entirely true. So, and I didn't know that at the time, but it was like after the fact. And I'm like, that's really not what I want to create. What I really, like we're afraid sometimes to ask for what we really want. So it was really,
Definitely.
yeah, it was really interesting to me to see that I could be really truthful with it. And then what happened? So what I realized is what I wanted to create was a bigger audience for Mary the Medicine Woman. And I never really said that out loud. And one of the things that you said it would be a good idea to do to try would be to do some collaging or some, like, what do we used to call that? Vision boarding. Okay. I used to do that all the time. So I did it. And so here's what it is. Here's what I came up with. It doesn't matter that you can't see it because I hate it. Okay. But that's okay. I hate this. But I did it, and through the whole time I'm doing it, I'm angry and I'm annoyed. But this is how I've always done it, right? So I did it. But I already created that, so I have to keep it, right? Which is totally counter to what you said earlier, too. And I hung it up on my wall. This is where I work usually when I'm trying to create my blog posts and my videos, and I put it up so I could see it. And then I just decided I'm never walking in that room again. And I'm like, well, why? Because I hate that, and that's all I can see. So I remember when you said about you don't call it, what do you call it? You don't call it a do-over. What do you call it when, like, you create something
Oh,
and it,
a reframe.
yeah,
Like,
and it just, yeah,
okay, so
it
that we
doesn't
can
work.
right. So we talked about rebuilding. So when something isn't working out and we realize, so the example I used was even with my 4-year-old, right? So
Yeah.
we were building something and it isn't turning out the way he wants it. So then crash, right? The whole thing goes down and he realizes that we can rebuild it. And we've been working on that resilience piece of rebuilding.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so that is what I remembered. So I'm like, I walked in the room again. I'm like, I hate this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, wait. Melissa said I could rebuild it. And suddenly the pressure's totally off. I take it down. I thought about burning it in effigy, but I decided not to do that. So I'm like, but okay, so then what? What is it that I want to look at? Because obviously I want to look at something, or I wouldn't have created that. And then I remembered that I got something in the mail that's this beautiful tree from a place in Erie that I love so much. So I put that in a frame. And then we have a wonderful local artist who takes amazing photography. And she sent me this gift of this beautiful image. So I framed it and put it over there. Another local artist, Alicia Florio, takes amazing photographs of places she's traveled. So I put that up. And I realized in so doing, it was so much fun and so liberating finding the frames. Each one of those pieces inspires me for a different reason, the way they connect with me. And I'm just like, I am telling you, it was like, I just like freedom. Like I felt so happy that, and there was something that happened with that. I guess I could describe it like the fear went away a little bit over what I really wanted. Does
Yes,
that make sense? I'm telling
absolutely,
you, it's so much fun.
I, I'm so glad that you had fun with it. And by rebuilding and taking the pressure off and
Mhm.
realizing that the art didn't have to come from you, but that
Yes.
what you created was your space. And you
Yes.
created a artwork of your room and what you're looking at for your inspiration. And so creativity isn't just about painting something with a paintbrush or taking a photo or writing a poem. I mean, those are beautiful acts of creativity,
Hmm.
but we can be creative in the way that we set up our room, just like you've done. We
Right.
can be creative in how we take care of our house and our
Mhm.
gardens, our even our office, right? Even as a pharmacist, our little space that we have at the computer.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
I right? I remember I had this little purple fan in this one pharmacy where I was just hot all the time. And
Mhm.
my technicians helped me decorate it. It became my little purple people eater. It was hilarious.
I
And so
love that.
it's important for us to recognize that the creative process is about showing up to ourselves and attending to ourselves. And you did that. You recognize that it
Yes.
didn't have to be the collage or the vision board, which
Mhm.
can work for some people, but
Sure.
it needed to be your space and
Yeah.
what inspired you. And I love that that's what came together.
Yeah, so much fun. So let's show everybody the instrument from from where this this amazing epiphany that I had came from.
Okay, so we talked about a mind map. So this is a little mind map here. And in the middle, I was talking about health before, and that there's different things that can contribute to health. So here I had physical, emotional, spiritual, social. And people can Google mind mapping. They can look up different ways of brainstorming. And what's beautiful about this process is that it's simple. And I had
Yes.
fun. I got some colors out and showed how different things connect. So one of the things that I recognized is that there were starting to be these connections through the different bubbles. So this one here is about physical and spiritual, and I have time in nature connects the two.
Mhm.
So I absolutely love being outside, and I find rejuvenation in the earth and being in places where I can hear birds and smell flowers. And so that is restorative to me, both physically and spiritually. So that's what this little map that we talked about,
Yes.
that you had one idea here in the middle. And then I love that you connected with what was authentically what you wanted to work on. So tell me a little bit more about how you found that it wasn't necessarily your schedule at work
Right.
that you wanted to work on, that it was actually your audience for Mary the Medicine Woman.
Right. Well, that's directly from the mind map. Like when you held it up the first time we worked on this, that it was that I was absolutely drawn to the corner, the emotional. And so then when I said, I believe that that was true. And when I said, okay, if that's where like the energy is for me, then I'm going to sit with that for a little bit. And it really didn't take long. And from just knowing that where I needed to start was a place of emotional, not physical, not spiritual, not the others. They're all connected, but that's where I needed to start. I realized then what I really wanted, because emotion and want are kind of connected. I thought, what will make me happy? And I could think about scheduling. I'm like, that's not really my problem. That's not giving me like, or not causing like a little bit of static or a little bit of friction. What is kind of holding back on sharing my work. That's what was giving me a little bit of friction and not making me feel good emotionally. So that's basically, kind of where it started. And also what you said about the mind map, how everything really is connected, because once I did that and then created this space, I had less angst about my writing. So that would be like, and that's physical too, right? Let's face it. You feel angst in your body with a little bit of cortisol, and the blood sugar's all kind of wacky. And pull up that mind map. Let me see what else. There's something else that kind of
So
connected.
we also noticed how for the physical, right? So when I go out for my morning walk, I release endorphins, right? And so
Yes.
then that helps me with my emotional or my mental well-being during the day.
Oh my God.
And
Yes.
right?
Right. And I had that was the most creative weekend I have had in a long time. I wrote so much, and it wasn't like, sometimes the writing is challenging, like it's frustrating. It was just very invigorating. There's no other really way to put it. And then I had more energy to work out and more energy to hang out with my family and really kind of share more, which goes to the social aspect. So it was very interesting to see, have real practical in my body experience of how that process works.
And what I think that you came to, Mary, was connecting with flow. And what's beautiful about the concept of flow is that it's what they say athletes are able to connect with. It's what the musicians and the artists connect with. We can also connect with flow in our daily lives. And
Yeah.
so when we enter into that space of being focused on what brings us joy, what motivates us, what inspires us, and then the flow starts to help us relax and move into that space where we really are living in a place of more contentment and not feeling the pressures of having to achieve or accomplish things.
That's a great point, because when I was kind of in that place where I thought I wanted to not be at work as much, that was creating, this desire to get out of it, which I was whatever the opposite of flow is, stagnation. But once I had the flow in my writing, amazingly, the flow at work was there as well. It was so natural and so easy.
I love hearing that, because that's the piece that I think is important when we talk about creativity being a daily solution, is that then when we tap into the creativity, it produces that flow in our life. Then we're able to integrate that feeling, that sensation, regardless of where we are. So whether we're out having a beautiful walk or in a creative moment of writing or producing some type of artwork, we can also take that flow into the workplace, so that then when we come into work, we have that positivity, that vibe. It shifts the vibe
It
of
does.
what work feels like.
It does.
And that's one of the things that I think that in like the kind of the realm of positive psychology, that people are really trying to connect individuals with the fact that they can access that creativity, that flow, and bring that into their lives.
Yep. Well, it felt like magic, really. It was really quite amazing. So, thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome, Mary. I'm glad that it was magical. And I really hope that other people can connect with creativity in their lives to bring more magic to their day.
Excellent. So we'll have Melissa's contact information right there. So you can all access it if you'd like to reach out to her. And thank you so much for joining me, Melissa. And thank you all for watching. Peace. Oh, no, I don't want to do that.